tell us your name?
My name is Philomena Oba. I come from Kumi and I'm a Muteso. Okay, I found out the course because I got in touch with some director of mine, Mr. Ken, because I wanted to know about the manicure and the pedicure.
And what have you learned?
I have learned how to massage, I've learned how to paint nails, and I've learned how to do everything of the manicure and the pedicure.
Uganda was an absolute mess. It had had civil war when they got rid of Idi Amin, and they had just driven him and his cohorts out, and Museveni, the president who's still there, was just finding his feet, and Kampala was a disaster area. I mean, none of the traffic lights or street lights worked. It was dirty and dusty and broken down buildings and so on. There was still fighting in the north of the country, and a lot of the organisations that worked there said they wouldn't go by road. It was just too dangerous going up country towards the Sudan border. And so they used to say, if we can't fly, we won't go. And said one of her problems was landing at Entebbe and then getting all the way out to Mbali, which is quite some distance away. So I said, why didn't she talk to MAF and see if they could fly her from Kampala and take her straight into the Mbali airstrip? Most of the towns in Africa have their own little airstrip. It started during the Second World War when the military built them, and it's so useful because often the road transport is so difficult and slow that if you can actually fly, and it saves a huge amount of time, and you arrive fresh, not exhausted after bouncing around on bumpy roads for 7 or 8 hours. And it did work on one of the visits. I think probably maybe the last one she went, that she landed there, and the MAF guy flew her in and also met her and looked after her when she came back at the end of the visit.
Yeah, so one of the most poignant memories for me was when I was in Uganda and I was filming the women's stories. And one of them particularly was telling us how obviously rape is being used as a weapon of war over there. So these the boy soldiers go through there and they were raping the women, and therefore they were being, they got HIV, they were ostracized from their community, they lost their families, they were looking after their other sisters' families because they'd died because they contracted AIDS, and they had nothing. They've got absolutely nothing, and they're homeless. And what do? A lot of them they sell their bodies and stuff. So at the end of the course, when I was interviewing them, and they were saying how, from their point of view, they said, nobody touches us, but obviously manicures, pedicures, it's a very hands-on thing. You can't not touch somebody's skin. You cannot touch and feel someone's energy and someone's heat, and that's obviously what the tutors from Born to Be Beautiful have done. And they said, you loved us. You gave us love when we didn't have love, and you made us feel wanted and valued. And I think that's one of the major things that Born to Be Beautiful does. It actually it gives people value and self-worth.
I was in church, so one of my colleagues, she was called Patricia, she announced it in church that people are coming from abroad to come and teach about manicure and pedicure. So I decided to join. I enjoyed because the people who came, visitors, they were so social, lovely, friendly. They were kind to us. That's what I enjoyed mostly. They cared a lot. I've learned there's some things like me, I didn't go far in education. They stopped paying for me school fees when I was in senior 2. So they chased me out of home. I don't know the reasons why, but after that, now I was there without doing anything. So when I found out about this course, I decided to join so that I can have something to do in my life. I learned about pedicure and manicure. I learned the shapes of nails. I learned the bones, like the muscles. They teach us many stuff, like how we are supposed to be clean, They told us, like, in business we have to be friendly, lovely, we have to care, and also we have to be timekeeping. So there were many stuff, and I liked it. Many things I didn't know about it.
I've always given money to charity. Even as a child, I always felt it was important to share what I had with others. In 2010, I went to India on the trip to see a charity out there. Some of us were allowed to go to a safe house, which is where the charity itself had rescued some girls. Some had been trafficked, some girls had been sold into brothels when they were little. And I met two young women there, and they were 14 and 15. And when we came back downstairs, the girls were standing there and they were all looking at the floor. And completely ignorantly, I said to the house mother, you know, why are they looking at the floor? Why won't they look at us? And she told me, she said, well, they're ashamed.
The course has been very good. I've enjoyed the course. I've got so many skills that I did not even expect. Yeah, and I think I'm going to start up my own small pedicure and manicure business just around here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you thinking of having it?
I'm thinking of having it here, just next. I'm going to be putting it here. I'm going to put a small table just here, and then I get the chair. I've got the chair, she's sitting on it, and one stool. Yes. The table will have the mirror in front it, and I will design the table. Yeah.
Well, as you said, COVID-19 has been a massive issue for everyone globally. So it's affected us as a charity, but also the girls in Uganda. We personally, you know, one of the main issues is that we can't get to them physically, so we can't cross the borders at the moment. Another issue, of course, is we are a charity, we are a community, and we can't see each other face to face. Although things are getting better, we are able to see each other more. But of course we have Zoom at the moment, so it's just making sure that we are kind of communicating with one another, discussing ideas, making it seem like, you know, overcoming these challenges, and I think we're doing very well at overcoming them. So yeah, as long as we continue with that, and as soon as those borders open, then we'll be able to help these girls even more.
The charity had a meeting. They had said, you know, what we need is we don't have anything for our teenage girls. We don't have any vocational skills to teach them, and what we'd really like is beauticians to come and teach them how to do beauty treatments. And so what happened was the leaders of the charities came to me, and they said they'd heard I was setting up a business, another business, and they asked me, you know, would you come and teach our girls so that we can, you know, give them skills, help them get vocational skills, and get them work. But in many cultures, depending on where you come from, if you're from a poor family, you wouldn't be able to get into the beauty schools, plus you wouldn't be able to afford how to get into them. So they weren't able to get into these places. So that's why the charity felt that they wanted to have someone come and teach them. So I chose the name Born to be Beautiful because when I saw the situations that some of the girls that we teach find themselves in, some terrible situations, I realised, you know, they weren't born for that. They were just born to be just as they are, how everybody is, just we're all perfect when we're born and we're beautiful, and that is how they should stay. And that some of the girls had fallen into terrible situations or stolen or whatever their circumstances are, and they weren't born for that. And with our logo of the butterfly with its wing caught on the barbed wire is to symbolise the fact that they've caught their wing on that barb, and that's the barb of the tragedies that have happened in their lives, and that's the barb of poverty, that's the barb of abuse, that's the barb of all the terrible exploitation that's happened to them, and how it's caught them on their wing. And unless you're really careful with those girls to gently lift them off and give them something to be able to look after their own selves again, the barb will continue to tear at their wing and break them, and they won't be able to be released really from what has happened in the past for them to start again. And that's that's really what the logo means.
I've liked Born to be Beautiful is a good organization. It has helped many because in the course we are many girls, and what I know all of us are going to gain from that skill that Born to be Beautiful has given us. What I advise, I would request Born to be Beautiful not to give up in any ways at all costs. Let it not give up.